Welcome back to AI 575 with Arrow. This is Griplock Challenge, the last of the B tier tournaments before moving on to the A tiers. So my aim point here is the bottom of the top green arrow, using a glide wind recoil right in between that tree on my left and that tree on the right. And I like this line because even if you hit one of these last two trees, you still have a somewhat manageable, in this case 85 feet, I think, very manageable throw in. And I'm a lot less likely to end up OB than if I take the forehand line. So for this, I tend to use Glide Skip Ballista Pro. My aim spot is the top of the middle arrow, just a touch to the right of there were like two trees in the background. And pretty standard line there. I got a lucky kick off that tree. And that's really just something to play with. I tend to err on the side of not going close enough to the basket than going past it, because then you pull the water into play. So I'd rather hit a tree than go swimming. Here I go slider all the way to the left. Bottom of the bottom arrow is kind of splitting the giant tree on the right and the top of the tree on the left. And that's pretty close to what I was trying to do. Just a little bit too far to the left, but you can see that works out just great. 42 feet for the birdie putt. So pretty good showing on Kehoe backwoods, and moving on. Lately for this one, I've been going slider all the way to the right and always doing forehand no matter what the wind is. In this case, I'm going the bottom of the bottom green arrow. There's a little shadow on the left side of the tree there, and then almost full Anheuser. And as long as you don't clip that tree, I mean, even if you do clip the tree, yeah, even went past the basket there. I just find it to be a super reliable line and way more reliable than any other line. So that's my go-to. For this one, I'll sometimes use a forehand line with a accurate glide musket if I'm trying to ace it, and I think that is what I try to do here. I was debating on whether or not to try to go for it, because if I go full power, and I think I don't this time, slightly less than full power, yeah, so I think I was worried about overshooting this. You can skip off the top of the basket and behind those trees that I almost still ended up behind, but so it's kind of a dangerous ace run if you get that bit of tailwind. If I don't get a tailwind, I pretty much will use an accurate windbreak musket. Once in a while, if you get a strong enough tailwind, you can actually ace run it with an accurate windbreak river. And I consider that a safer ace run possibility there. But anytime you're doing that accurate glide on that last one, you're bringing the OB into play. Here, my aim spot's more on a vertical line with the trees on the left of the 2 in 267 feet. And then just trying to counter the wind, which I don't sufficiently do here. I don't think I would have had enough power either. I think I probably would have hit the cage even if I had the right line there. So probably need to give it just a bit more sauce to be able to make that one, and then a pretty routine throw-in from 49 feet. Lately, I've been kind of whiffing putts in that 45-plus foot range, so once I get to about 45 feet is when I start switching with throw-ins. That's just me. Okay, yeah, so here the top of the disc is on the second Wi-Fi curve, and I'm doing about a split disc Anheuser. The top corner, left corner of the bottom arrow is nestled in the armpit of the T in feet. That was my aim point if you want to go back and check out how I ace Square Island. Here, bottom of the middle arrow is nestled on the bottom of that tree that I'm aimed at on a forehand line with the light Glide Ballista Pro. Got this line from The Cake Is a Lie, and I hit the pin there, so I was honestly surprised this wasn't a tap-in, but 13 feet, can't complain. And for the last hole on the front 9, oh yeah, gosh dang it. Spoiler alert. So here I was doing the bottom of the middle arrow on the island in the background. Top of the disc is in the middle of the second Wi-Fi curve. I'm basically treating it like Sunshine Glade 4, the same amount of power you want to use for an ace run there, at least my ace run. And so you can see I have 481 feet. So I'm using the Glide Roll Ballista Pro so I can get the sticky function when it touches the ground on this island. Especially with the tailwind, I think the Light Glide Ballista Pro would almost certainly skip past. And then I get this ridiculously unlucky ground action. I guess just hardly ever happens when I hit that early on the island with the glide roll. Usually I'll catch, and that's just so hard to watch all over again. I hate it. All right, from 79 feet, I was treating this more like a 95-foot throw-in. A little bit of elevation there if you're throwing from that OB spot, so it could have been a 14 down, but I'll take the 13. I was feeling kind of salty about the fact that missed opportunity took away from the ace. I pretty much negated the ace, but oh well. That was a full send with an accurate glide musket. Didn't adjust the initial aim point at all. Just straight back, full send. Here I go slider all the way to the right. If I'm running this from 346 feet, I think you need to use something like the Roll Glide Ballista Pro or Glide Wind Ballista, something in that neighborhood. Accurate glide musket, which is what I used there, is going to get you very close. So it just depends on whether or not you're trying to run it for the eagle or, kind of lay it for the birdie. I think the birdie is the better option there for me personally. Doing a split disc and hyzer on a forehand line with a glide wind ballista, and then I get my luck back right there because I was thinking, and it was 422, so I think that's probably it. It was the 420 number that saved me. Shout out to all you 420 people. Okay, so here, Glide Skip Ballista Pro. But this, now that I'm watching this again, I mean, this definitely feels like it offsets the Island Hopper bad luck. So I decided to really run it for the albatross there because I was still feeling a little salty, even though I did get lucky. Hindsight's 2020. That's hilarious. So I should have just tried to get as close to the basket as I could. I got a little bit lucky there. Again, with not getting too far out of basket's reach for the comebacker. But I thought, I haven't albatrossed that hole yet, so decided to just go for it. And then here I think I'm going to use the same blind as before, backhand. Bottom of the top green arrow is the aim point. Kind of right between two trees, pretty much straight pullback. Yeah, straight pullback, full send. And I got super lucky not hitting either one of those trees. I was trying to get on the inside track of that, not the outside track. So that didn't actually work out the way that I was visualizing, but it worked out. So, as they say, better to be lucky than good. Better to be lucky and good, but if you had to choose, better to be lucky. Cool. Pretty routine, but feeling good about another 4 on Keho backwoods. That's solid. Okay, 3 wind here, so I go accurate glide musket, and then I'm on a vertical line with just left of the basket, and put on a little bit of anhyzer to counter the wind, trying to make it into this big clearing. I try to hit one of those 3 rocks that I just went to the right of, so that was actually not my ideal thing, but then fortunately I slid down low enough that I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get collision with any of these leaves. If you don't slide down far enough, you are going to get collision with this tree that I'm next to. So, but I think that clearing is the play. That's where you want to end up. Here I was debating running it, but I decided not to. So accurate windbreak musket, top of the disc. I wasn't quite full power on that shot. Just a little bit of hyzer. Try to hit that wall. If you get the exact right skip, you can actually skip off that rock into the basket, but you are bringing OB into play if you try to do it. So, but yeah, really just trying to hug that wall on that and stay out of the water. Here with the 2 wind, I think was thinking about running it with a musket, but I decided to disc down for the river. Bottom of the bottom arrow is like right in the middle of the right side of the fence there. And then just snake through those 3 trees right at the basket. Very manageable putt on the back end. That's the same gap that both Cajun Chains and I take when we're trying to ace run that basket. So if anyone wants to experiment with that run. Here with the 2 wind, I normally will use a light glide Ballista Pro, but I'll use a glide roll Ballista Pro whenever I've got a 1 or 2 tailwind here. And my aim spot was the bottom of the top green arrow, just a little bit above and to the right of that rock on the right. And once again, trying to hug the ground here. If only I had done that on Island Hopper. Let it go, be zen about it. Okay, so from 73 feet, I'm kind of treating this, I guess about exactly like a 7, maybe a little bit less than a 73 footer, maybe like a 65 footer, because I'm expecting to get lift from the wind. Hit the albatross and keep moving. And then I get super lucky with this 3 tailwind here. So I decided to go for the Light Glide Ballista Pro all the way to the second, past this first island. Don't even mess with it, just go clear across on a full disc anhyzer. I probably should have aimed a little bit more to the left if I remember right. Yeah, and I was really dreading, I thought I was going to hit that tree that I just went past. But one of the benefits of the Light Glide Ballista Pro is you can actually make it over here in this kind of wind. So now from 63 feet with 3 wind, just trying not to mess up the opportunity and treating it like it's about a 45-foot throw because I'm expecting a lot of lift. And that was even a tiny bit high for my taste. So, you know, it was right about the halfway point of the chains, but I really tried to practice just sneaking it over the cage. I'd rather hit cage than top end any day. So here, accurate windbreak river on a split disc hyzer on a vertical line pretty much with the basket, and that goes right up for a tap in. So that is another 13 down. Yeah. So 26 down. For a second, I thought I was playing the great outdoor fight, and I was like, dude, I'm going to post a massive score. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's Griplock Challenge. Just kidding. So here, same as before, bottom of the bottom arrow is in the middle of that right side of the fence, straight pull back, full send with an accurate windbreak river through those 3 trees. And again, that's pretty much the line, not the exact same aim point or power with a musket, but that's basically the line if you're trying to run it. It can be a dangerous run, but it just depends on how well you dial it in, really. I think Cajun Chains, yeah, he's like 20% par, 20% ace, 60% birdie when he ace runs it 10 out of 10 times. So, I mean, that's you're averaging a birdie every time, but occasionally you get the ace. Here, bottom of the bottom arrows just on the left middle side of that rock, right where the ground meets the rock. There's like a little point there. And once again, I'm hugging that left wall just to stay the heck out of the water. That is the only real consideration for this hole. Just, I mean, experiment with this, get used to the ground action and how these various rocks and crevices and stuff are going to affect the disc when it's sliding so you don't go swimming. Probably going to do a full send with an accurate windbreak fuse here. Aim point is the bottom of the bottom arrow on a horizontal line with the bottom of the bubble. And there's the full send, probably expecting to be within 40 or 50 feet for the putt or throw in. So 39 feet, so I'll use the putt. And if I run it on that one, I usually will do the bottom of the bottom arrow on the bottom of the bubble with an accurate windbreak river. With this wind, I was debating laying up, but I think my record was already a 37 down, so I needed to run this for the albatross to maximize my chances, and obviously I didn't know what was going to come next. So aim spot there is the bottom of the bottom arrow, a little bit below the vertical line of the tree that I was aimed at. I just sneaked to the right of that tree, which is ideal, because then you have this pretty big gap in the trees, and this is the exact line that I'm trying to hit when I do a roller shot on KP2. So, I mean, pretty much a picturesque roller there. Obviously, by doing that, you do bring in that one tree into play. But these are the risk-reward scenarios of a DGB player's life. Okay, so here with the 4 tailwind, I don't move the slider at all. Bottom of the bottom arrow is on the left of that bush in the background. And I'm doing just a touch of anhyzer and a full send with a Glide Skip Ballista Pro, and this is looking so delicious. I was like, dude, this is a perfect drive. And then that bad ground action, and I land in the Devil's Pit, 666 feet. I was so frustrated by that. But oh well. So I decided to try to just park it next to the basket here. I was debating a little bit on trying to run this, but I figured the accurate windbreak musket would go almost exactly 300 feet. And with the 4-wind, I was thinking I was pretty much going to park it next to the basket, and that's just about what I did there. So I was surprised it didn't give me the tap in there. I mean, it's 10 feet, so that was kind of annoying to have to put that in, but it's a minuscule complaint, so not really salty about that one. Okay, here my aim point. This is big. Top of the bottom arrow on the top of that bush. That's always what I do for that 3 left to right wind there. If it's a 4 left to right wind, then I'll do the bottom of the bottom green arrow. If it's a 2 left to right wind, I'll do the bottom of the middle arrow. And if it's a 1, I'll do the top of the middle arrow. So that's my go-to for left to right winds on KP9. Different aim points if you get a right to left wind. But this is pretty consistent for me with the accurate glide musket. So go back to make sense of what I'm doing there if you're struggling with this hole and being like, oh, let me get some use out of arrows legs. 77 feet uphill because of the box, expecting lifts because of the 3 wind. So I think I probably treated that like about an 80-foot throw-in, something like that. Stoked to see Lakeside 2 here. This feels like a pretty gimme eagle. But I was worried if I used the Light Glide Ballista Pro, I would actually bring the OB on the back end into play with this strong tailwind. So I decided to disc down a little bit to the glide roll, and then there's that roll function. I got like super sticky ground actions, and I was like, oh man, I got a tiny bit of a tester here actually. So 68 feet with the 3 wind, I'm treating it like it's about a 50-foot throw-in. So the top of the disc is splitting the vertical distance between the bottom of the circle and the top of the first Wi-Fi curve. That's what I consider about 50 feet. So that worked out great, and I put in a little anhyzer probably to counter the wind. With this 3 wind, pretty much my go-to here is accurate windbreak river, almost regardless of the wind, unless it's like a 3 tailwind. I might use an accurate glide fuse. But full send, try to make sure I have just enough. It's not quite split disc hyzer, a little bit less than split disc hyzer. And it looks like I need just a little bit more, but yeah, looks like I wouldn't have been able to make it there anyway. So I probably need to actually disc up to an accurate windbreak musket in that headwind if you actually are trying to run it. But really, I was just, it was kind of a half-hearted run, but I was just trying to birdie out here. But then when I saw this one, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to ace this and see if I can get a 39. So bottom of the bottom arrow, there's a little V created by a leaf sticking out of the red arrow, the Mando arrow. About a split disc hyzer here on the forehand line with an accurate windbreak musket. And that was not too shabby. Definitely err on the side of not enough power here so that you end up in the clearing instead of the trees behind me. And so then at this point I was just trying not to mess up the comebacker, treating it like it's about a 40, maybe 35-foot throw. I'm expecting lift again from the 3 wind. So there it is, 38 down. I think that's like, I don't know, top 3 Griplock challenge score. So yeah, stay tuned for the A tiers, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.